What's going on, YouTube? Northstar CDH here, and we've got someone special. You might recognize him. It's Jeff from Untap Upkeep Ope, and we've got his spicy Walmart Blue Farm list here.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, dude. This list is my baby. I've been playing this list for like a year now.
Has it been a
Um,
year?
yeah, I like played it a little bit before the bans, but it just felt so bad when like everyone had docksides and turn one commanders and my commanders were like kind of useless. So I was playing like mainly just Rocco at that point.
Fair.
But once those bans hit, I was like, I think every deck is possible now because Timna and Crom aren't just always coming out turn one anymore. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put this back together, and ever since then, I've just been playing it pretty steadily.
And you've had some pretty good success with it too.
Yeah, surprising to me, but I mean, I guess I somehow figured out how to play CEDH significantly better.
Hey,
Um,
miracles do happen.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Yeah, I've had incredible success with this deck. My last four events I've gone to, I've either top 16 or I won the Badlands tournament. So,
Yeah, just the
um,
last recent one.
yeah. So yeah, I top 16 or I top forward the Goodbyes Are Forever.
Yep,
I top 16 the April 3K Guys Cradle. I took fifth in the SCG Con CDH 5K
that's right.
and I won the Badlands tournament. So I've been kind of on a roll here.
I'm gonna say you were due for a conversion.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. The stack is like pretty straightforward. It's essentially Blue Farm, but with a little spice. That's the whole point of the name is it's Walmart Blue Farm.
So the
We're
spice is birds and deathrite, right?
Yeah, those are the spicy cards as the two mana dorks for sure. Uh yeah, if you just ignore those big sorcery spells.
I'm gonna say
Um
the elephant in the room here is
yeah, yeah.
emergent ultimatum, peer into the abyss, expropriate, and enter the infinite. Like,
Yeah.
why would you even think about putting these in here in the first place?
Well, three of them pitch to the forces, so they're pretty good. Pretty good cards. Uh No, they're really really synergistic with my commander 11, the mage. They are essentially all one card combos with her. She just says is your max hand size is 11, and when she attacks, you draw a card, you lose a life, and then if you have 11 or more cards in your hand, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. So pretty much casting any of these four spells is either going to put you in the lead significantly or it's just going to flat out win you this game. We
Yeah.
in the second round of the Badlands, I won on stream by casting Enter the Infinite and making it uncounterable with Misrise Village. It
That's
was probably
fantastic.
probably my favorite win of the day. But if you cast Enter the Infinite off of it, you have your whole deck in your hand. Winning is like essentially guaranteed at that point. There's almost no way you can lose unless you mess up and have Italian out like I did. Luckily, no one was able to cast any two drops, so I was safe.
Hey,
um,
mistakes happen.
yeah,
Luckily,
it's all
we
on me.
luckily you didn't get punished for it.
Yeah, thank God. Um, so yeah, Emergent Ultimatum gets you the other three. It searches for three monocolored cards, and then you can cast two of those for free. Your opponent chooses one and puts it back in your library. The other two you get to cast for free. So the Emergent Ultimatum, you're essentially just getting Peer into the Abyss, Expropriate, and Enter the Infinite. And if for some reason you can't get those cards, you have Thassa's Oracle, Tainted Pact, Demonic Consultation. You have Underworld Breach, Intuition. You have many and many options. Um,
Gifts.
yeah, gifts. There was one time I actually I Emergent Ultimatum for Rhystic Study, Mystic Remora, and a Demonic Tutor, and that was the most hilarious one. It was just because I wasn't gonna win at any point with my hand, and I don't think the other spells would have resolved, so I just looked for spells that weren't going to make people like the red alarms go off. I was just like, I just want value. Uh, but yeah, so if you cast Emergent Ultimatum, you're typically gold like set up to win. Um, Peer into the Abyss, again, you draw half of your library. If you can't win with half of your library, there's like that's a very unfortunate variable. Like that never happens. And then Expropriate, even if you free cast Expropriate off 11, this one doesn't guarantee you a win, but you are going to be significantly put in the lead. You're taking at least one extra turn. You are getting if no one else votes to give you an extra turn, you're getting the best permanent off of each person's board, which could be like their Timnas, their Ristic Studies, their One Rings. It could be like their Grand Abolishers if for some reason they didn't win after slamming one. Like you're getting the best permanents and taking an extra turn after that, you're going to be in the lead by far. Um, but yeah, so that's those are the big spells. Those things are those are my little spice to this list. Other than that, this list is very, very simple. You are just running all of the like value engines you can. You have Esper Sentinel, Ragavan, Archivist of Ogma, Fairy Mastermind, Lotho, Polywog Prodigy, uh, Phyrexian Metamorph to be somebody else's something. Like Talion is also in here. You're looking to draw as many cards as possible and get as much value as possible out of your creature package. Um, and then, the rest of the deck is, you have your Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation win lines, and Tainted Pact. You have Intuition and Gifts piles, all which are really good, getting you your Underworld Breach combo setups. Those are also, that's pretty much the way I win almost every game is an Underworld Breach line. But yeah, and then, the special enchantment that's super different in this list is Carpet of Flowers, just because I think, having extra mana is always a good idea. Um,
It definitely
th-
can't hurt.
Definitely can't hurt. This deck, in my like, depending on your opening hand, this deck can go like one of three ways based on opening hands. If you have like a Necro, you're looking to turbo, so this deck can turbo super well. This deck can play mid-range super well. And then this deck can play based off of 11 super well. So like those are my three like opening hand, like figuring out what I'm gonna do game plans is either I'm going to turbo or I'm going to play super mid-ranged or I'm going to try to get 11 out as soon as possible and possibly win through her conditions. Um, that's
That
that's typically what I'm always aiming for is those.
that's what I was just gonna ask. Like, so we obviously have some big mana spells, but we also have breach lines and whatnot. But how easy is it to pivot? Let's say you get stopped for whatever reason. Someone just has the miracle hand of like all of the interaction, but no win line, and one after another, you get stopped. How difficult is it to pivot from one win line to another? And about like how many turns would you expect to, present another win? Because that's the other big thing too. Of we get stopped. Um, we'll take Rogside for example. Like you throw out a Thassa demonic. You're like, all right, now I have to work my way for a breach line, where blue farm is a little bit easier on that. But like, how easy is it to pivot?
It's I have had zero problem pivoting off of win attempts. Um, there's like tons of different ways to get value in this deck. So you're always drawing cards, you're always getting mana. You're always going to have some extra backup plan essentially. If something doesn't go well, you can pivot relatively easy in this deck. There's so many different ways. I even like I consider Mnemonic Betrayal to be a win con. So you have tons and tons of different ways to win in this deck, like cards that will get you to a specific win con, that you can sort of pivot as soon as someone stops you. So like let's say you go for an 11 trigger, you put it on the stack, someone counters it, and you just don't have enough to back it up. Typically this means that your next two turns or your next turn is just going to be like getting more cards in your hand, and then you're most likely going to have another card that can get you to a win.
Obviously, you did one example of a uncounterable,
Enter the infinite, yeah.
yeah, enter the infinite with Mistrise Village, but how how good is Mistrise Village in your deck specifically with 11?
So with specifically 11, I think it's actually really, really good. If you are going for win lines with 11, it's 2 mana to make one of those giant spells uncounterable. And that essentially forces everyone into a scramble situation. Because what you're gonna do if you're going for a win con with 11 is if you have the 11 cards in your hand, you're just gonna move straight to combat. You don't want to play anything, you don't want to do anything. And then you're going to attack, and then with the attack trigger on the stack, you're just going to activate your misrise, and then that's where everyone has to figure out what to do. They would have to stifle the attack trigger to sort of stop you at that point. Um, and then once the attack trigger goes, you just slam it down. And unless they can hard cast Mindbreak Trap, you most likely have got it. The only other thing is like Peer into the Abyss does target a player, so be wary of like, deflecting slots.
Fair.
Yeah. Another interesting thing about my list is I am not on any wheels at all. I don't
Yeah.
play wheels. I don't play board wipes. I try to stay away from wheels. I know that there are backups to Underworld Breach, but like I said, I am like my deck is so hard, like focused and honed in on doing one of those three game plans and then either pivoting to where I think that wheels typically always screw me over more than they help me. Like I'll cast a wheel and then all of a sudden like everyone has a perfect grip, and that's how it's always felt. And I'm like, I just don't think I can afford playing wheels anymore. So realistically, you do have to fuel your library only or your Underworld Breach only with Brain Freeze, but I have not really ran into any issues with that. Typically, once you're doing your Brain Freeze line, you're kind of already winning anyway.
Right.
Like majority of the time, the second that Underworld Breach like resolves, you've kind of got the game. Um, if you don't, you don't. If they have the perfect interaction, they have it. It just happens. But uh, I have not experienced like a moment where I'm like, man, I really wish I was still running a Wheel of Fortune. Ever since I took it out, I feel like I have been able to play a lot better without it. And then board wipes. I used to run Toxic Deluge, and like me and Pete talk about how he plays Blasphemous Act all the time. I just can't see a world where our board getting destroyed is beneficial for us. Our commander already has to make it around a turn cycle to attack then, and it's four
Mm-hmm.
mana. So like a board wipe killing 11, like that really blows. Plus, like almost all of our creatures are literally value engines. We need them out. Um, so I've strayed away from board wipes. If people are gonna wipe the board or that it needs to happen, I'm assuming my opponents can deal with it. If they can't, they can't, and then I just have to win with what I have. You know?
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. One thing I noticed that's not in here, and I'm starting to see kind of more on decks, abrupt decay.
Mm. Yeah.
How? What's your 2 cents on abrupt decay in your list? If you would run it, if not, um,
So Abrupt Decay is awesome. I think it's really, really strong right now. It puts in the work for sure. It at the Badlands tournament, I actually lost, or well, we didn't lose, but we drew because my Underworld Breach win attempt was stopped by an Abrupt Decay. And I didn't have a Mindbreak Trap in hand, or I did have Mindbreak Trap in hand. However, it wasn't on mine. I think Abrupt Decay is awesome. I'm just personally not playing it because the slots in my deck are pretty tight right now. I I'm so much less focused on disrupting the game plan. Like I run tons of counter magic and you're never gonna see me with a hand that doesn't have some in it. I want
right,
to make sure that I can stop people if I need to or back up my win if I need to. But for the most part, Abrupt Decay, really awesome card. I'm just not into the disrupting everyone's board state. Um, I think it's really good. It gets rid of heuristic studies, but we are running Boseiju. It's kind of my abrupt decay, I think. I don't really have tons of green mana anyway in the deck. Like let's see, I think I only have so one, two, three. I have three fetchable uh Greenland, or I have two fetchable Greenlands, and I have, all of the rainbow lands that I can,
Hmm.
but I just don't know how good adding abrupt decay would be. If I were to add it, the card I would cut would maybe be offer, but I also don't like cutting any counter spells anymore. So, and I'm still on Psych Rift, so like that also works for getting
Right.
rid of something. Um, yeah, the reason why I'm so high on Boseiju is because the only thing that stops it is the deflecting swat.
Right.
So, or anything like that.
Say I've gotten burned on an offer before, so
Yeah,
that's
I
why I'm not as high on it because I've lost a game because of it.
Oh,
So
I've definitely lost some games because of offer. I always think about putting delay back in over offer, but I just think that one mana counterspell is too good sometimes.
I mean, I could see delay because depending on if it's a stacks, you know, stacks pod, delay is game changing.
Oh yeah, then it also hits any spell. It's not just a non-creature. I
Right.
I debate on putting it back in all the time. I used to run delay in main board, but I took it out to add in Voice of Victory, which I feel like kinda doing the same thing. They're both backing up my win in a way, except one's harder to interact with because it's a creature.
Fair.
Yeah. Um, yeah, other than that, I mean the deck is pretty straightforward. Your game plan is draw some cards. Like in my primer, uh it says what's the setup for this deck? Just draw cards, like as many as possible. Mulligan until you get something that draws cards, trust me.
Let's say let's see if we can find the primer. Unless,
No, yeah,
uh,
it's on there. It's not a very good primer. I made it when I first got into CEDH, but it's funny. I didn't know how to add
gotcha,
cards. I didn't know how
gotcha.
to add cards to the primer, but I have to do that. I have to remake this primer so that I can put it in the CDH database.
Let's see. You got homework to do now.
Oh, yeah.
So, but no, it's a hot list. The first time I saw it, you're playing Mike the Dungeon Master in 11. I'm like, what kind of shenanigans is this guy trying to pull?
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of what everyone thinks when I sit down with this deck. They're like, "Oh, these commanders don't do anything." My
Right?
favorite thing in the world is like people read Mike and they're like, "Why are you playing this?"
Yup.
I don't know. I don't know. I've won a game or two because of Mike. That bringing back creatures thing, it's pretty good sometimes.
Seriously? You've won a
Yeah,
game with Mike.
yeah, I won a game because of Mike. At the Goodbyes Are Forever, there was a magical Christmas land situation where I convinced a player to stop killing my Lotho because I'm just gonna keep bringing it back with Mike. And so they did. I was like, you could use it on an Esper Sentinel on somebody who can't bring it back?
Hmm.
So they stopped killing my Lotho. And then when someone else was going for a win attempt, the only card I had that could do anything at the moment was Born Upon a Wind. But I also had Sultai Ultimatum in my hand, the Emergent Ultimatum,
Hmm.
and I had a Lotho out, so I just needed everyone to cast two spells, which did end up happening. And I was trying to help us get to a point where we could stop the person from winning. So this was before everyone had cast these spells. I cast my Born Upon a Wind. And I was like, I know this looks scary and it could be scary potentially. However, I have nothing to deal with this win attempt on this deck. This is the only card I can cast. And I drew a card, and everyone's like, yep. And then somebody else slammed their second spell, and I was like, it's time for me to go. I just had just the perfect mana to cast the Emergent Ultimatum on top of their win attempt.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it was because Mike kept bringing Lotho back. Brought her back two times that game.
Jeez.
Yep.
That's
So,
insane.
yeah. So Mike has won me a game of CEDH for sure.
In Magical Christmas Land.
In Magical Christmas Land, yes. But I mean, if I have nothing else to do and I have like a free commander spell in hand, I'm gonna slam Mike, and then like
Fair.
I'm gonna, if no one kills him, which doesn't typically happen, it's happened a
Right.
lot more recently now. Like people I've been playing with have just been like, yeah, two Orcish Bowmasters pings the mic. I'm like, why? What the fuck? Why would you do this? Why would you do this to me? What is he
Because
doing?
you've been putting up results and
Yeah, yeah.
they now respect
They
Mike
respect
and
it.
Elvin.
Yeah.
So there's always the all right, just in case happens, we have to deal with this now before he establishes anything.
Yep, yep, for sure. Yeah,
So
I've done the trick of I've only done it once, but I've done the trick of cracking a ranger captain on somebody's turn, and then when they move to their end step, I bring it back with Mike.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so like, there's a little bit of synergy there. I've also killed someone's Orcish Bowmasters with Mike, because they kill my Orcish Bowmasters with their own,
Yep.
and then end step I just bring back Orcish Bowmasters with Mike. It's such a stupid mechanic that no one ever thinks about, and it's kind of hard to think about it because what would you expect that card to do?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, my first thought is it's literally just there for the color pips, just like Rogsai. Um,
yeah,
if you're casting Silas, there's clearly a problem.
yeah. That's definitely true. For me most of the time, if I'm casting Mike, he's probably a blocker, or to be honest, he's just turning on a free spell.
Hmm.
I don't have like a general game plan with him, but his activation just is something that comes up rarely, but it's a decent activation if I need it.
So what you're
So,
saying is when the stars align just perfectly, we can
yeah,
abuse Mike and Ranger
yes,
Captain or
yes,
Orcish Bowmaster.
that is exactly right. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's sort of the initial game, like the initial game plan and breakdown of the deck. Draw cards, get your hand like looking good, try to win. It's kind of the it's kind of like every CDH deck's game plan, except this one just has a little bit
Right.
of spice to it.
All
Yeah.
right. So scrolling down, I found some cards that you were considering that you may or may not have put in the sideboard, like
Yep.
Omniscience.
Yeah, so Omniscience, I used to have a whole bunch more in here, but Omniscience is another considering for Emergent Ultimatum. The only reason I haven't put it in the deck is because when I draw this card, it is absolutely dead except it pitches to like the forces. Because
Right.
I can't cast enchantments with 11, but with Emergent Ultimatum, instead of getting Expropriate, I would get on Omniscience,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're going to draw half your deck and Omniscience, or you're going to draw your whole deck in Omniscience, or you're going to draw half your deck than your whole deck. So like you're set up essentially.
Right.
And then Veil of Summer is another one. The only reason I haven't added it is because, like I said, I'm low on green mana specifically. It's really good though. The card is super strong, and I consider it all the time. I just don't know where I'd slot it. Again, I think if I were to put in Veil, it would probably be in the offer you can't refuse slot.
Fair. I
Yeah.
think with being on white, it's not needed as you have a bunch of the protection spells already, like Voice of Victory, Ranger Captain,
Grand Abolisher,
yeah, Grand
Silence.
Abolisher, Silence. Like you already have these protection spells. Like the worst case scenario is someone kills your commander, so you can't do a free spell
Yeah.
like
Yep.
deflecting SWAT or fierce guardianship. Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Um, so like your Sans white lists, I think are going to be higher on it as its protection. You know, they don't have the white for the protection spells of Grand Abolisher and so on.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
honestly, I don't think it's needed. You already have white. Like if you were Vile Thrasios, yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. That's why I haven't put it into the main board. Some of the other sideboard cards, I removed them, but they're still in the history. I was thinking about Rev Tithe Extractor just because I've seen like a lot of Blue Farm players play this card, and like she's so strong, she's
mhm.
super good. Making all your creatures into a Ragavan is incredible.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was also thinking about Minx and Boo, Timeless Hero, just because, it's a turn later. I draw like 4 cards. That's awesome. It gets me to my 11 quicker. And then Yuzuri, Fortune's Flame. I did play this for a little bit. It was super cool, and it definitely felt like it was thematic for the deck. Because like his attack trigger, if you omniscience, you
Hmm.
are gonna win, and that's kind of the same with 11. But in the end, I realized that like Polywog still trumps Yuzuri in this
Yeah.
deck specifically because he incidentally draws me cards, whereas Yuzuri is a 3 drop. He has to make it around the table and attack, whereas Polywog just kind of starts getting me cards right away.
Hmm.
So that's why I didn't play him. And then the Minx and Boo is the same situation. It needs to get around the table. I have to have a second turn with it to draw the cards. It just wasn't necessarily as great. And then Rev, she was just 4 mana creatures are kind of hard to slot into this deck. So, um,
You're saying 4 mana's hard to slot when
the creatures are hard. The
okay,
creatures are hard.
specifics here.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say 4 mana to slot in here is a little difficult. Sir, we have a 12 mana spell.
Yeah. Um, Another card that I actually did cut a while ago was Sylvan Library. Um, I really still like Sylvan Library, and I think it's good. However, adding in Voice of Victory and some other cards have been better.
Yeah.
But Sylvan Library just was another piece that every turn got you closer to that 11 cards in hand.
Hmm.
And that was much more leaning into the 11 plan. Um, I think I just wanted to be able to be a little more open with my game plan than I was, so I removed it from the deck. And yeah, ever since then I've been doing really, really well without it. So,
That's a big plus.
yep.
Big plus. So, no, it's a cool deck. I enjoy it. It's definitely something that you're not expected to see.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I think it always takes people for a surprise, and then all of a sudden you pull out a win out of nowhere, and you're like, "What? How did this happen?"
Yeah. Yep, that has been how it is almost every time. I just randomly win and everyone's like, I don't even know I don't know what just happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So, no, super cool deck. I like it. I'm a fan. Don't worry, I'm not gonna build it. I already have my pet deck, and that's Obnixilis.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm still on TNT, so I'm
Okay.
still a fan.
All right. Yeah,
So
no, I mean, this is my equivalent, so
right. I mean, you get red, so it's arguably a little bit better. As you have breach lines, I don't.
yeah.
I have to do it the
Yeah.
hard way. Well,
Yeah.
do things the hard way, but no, this is a
All right.
cool deck. I like it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that people are enjoying it and I'm glad that there's some eyes on it now.
Oh,
I
after the win, there's even more eyes on it.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
gonna be of what is this? What's going on?
Yeah.
So the only downside is you're gonna have a target on your back now.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Hey, it's a
uh
good thing to have, especially with
it
the
is.
5K coming up.
It is. It's very good, and I'm very excited for the 5K. I'm very excited for the future Dumpster Cat events we're doing.
Yep,
I'm excited for all of the local CDH stuff that we're getting done here. So, so shout out to you for helping getting all that set up.
it's been a labor of love, we'll call it.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
it's been a lot, but been enjoyable. No,
Yeah,
thanks. I appreciate you taking the time talk about your deck, showcasing it because this thing is sweet, and you've been putting up a lot of good results with it. So it's hard to say it's like a fluke or anything when you've been consistently putting up results. Even like we have an event that's in the mid 50s. You're still putting up good results with it.
yeah,
So
yep,
I mean, it's
yeah. I
not
mean,
like we have these smaller events of 20, 30 people.
Yeah,
So
I actually do significantly worse in the smaller events, which is funny. The last few small dumpster cat events, I just kind of petered out every game. So, but like the big ones, I seem to lock in or something. I don't know.
magic of the pairings.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but hey, I appreciate you. Hopefully we see more of this deck. I'm looking forward to it, to keep seeing it on top 16s.
Yeah, I'll keep trying. I'm gonna give it my all.